Hi and welcome to our new, already 14th, is it? Feng Shui Masterclass. Hey and welcome. I'm in Brisbane and we're just going currently through a tropical thunderstorm and it's beautiful here. It's hot, yes. So at the moment the thermometer says 30 degrees, feels like 36, and that's about right. So it's a sauna out there in the moment. And it's really hot. If you put the aircon on 25 degrees, so that you have it really nice, but you don't feel like you're living in a chest freezer in case you have to go outside for one or the other time. So yes, it's beautiful. A beautiful house set, beautiful dogs. It's a very rare breed. That's why I wanted to do it. In case you ask yourself, who does a house sit in Queensland in summer? We do. It's a beautiful breed. It's a beautiful house. It's beautiful people living here who are now overseas in the UK. And we just enjoy it. And aircon, I won't say anything else. And because we're here in this house, and maybe you've seen the post, and maybe you've seen the pictures that I've posted about this issue, that's why we're having this topic today. Feng Shui for a successful home office. And I put home office in there. It's kind of also for an office, but the emphasis is really on home office today. And I want to show you the case that I posted on Facebook the other day, and also want to show you how to solve this special case. But I want to give you also the tools for you, if you have a home office, how to optimize that one. And as always, if you have any questions, if you're live here with me, we're doing a Q&A afterwards. If you're watching the recording, just flick me an email and I'm happy to answer you. Ideally, put a floor plan on it or pictures or anything like that, and then I can answer the questions that you have. Great. Okay, so let's get started. Well, to start with, I want to do a little bit of groundwork so that we'll all know what we're talking about. So I want to go into the Bagua. So we've been talking about the Bagua a few times already, but I want to make sure that we all know what we're talking about, and especially because today we will start talking about the differences between the Northern Hemisphere and the Southern Hemisphere. So you will see, hopefully you should see now, the Bagua for the Northern Hemisphere. So what's happening here is, you see, this is the normal Bagua that you find in the books, and okay, it's my design, but that's fine. So you have in the south the fire, fame, and reputation. Don't worry if in your books it's usually the other way around, but there's a reason why I put it that way. So you've got the water here, career life plan, and this is where usually your entrance lies. And on this line, this is where the entrance into your house, into your room, and some other things that I'm going to mention today, because we're talking about offices, will be. So here is the entrance, and this is how it all goes. So from the water towards the knowledge, which is small earth, into the wood, family, new beginnings, into the wood, abundance, fire, fame, and reputation, earth, marriage, love, relationship, towards metal, future, children, creativity, the big metal, travel, and helpful friends, back to water. That is the cycle that we've been discussing in the last year quite a few times. If you still have questions about that, please, again, get back to me. I'm happy to explain that. So, but we're not in the Northern Hemisphere, are we? So what is different in the Northern Hemisphere? So the East, if you're looking at the energy, the Northern Hemisphere, the water, the cold energy is in the north. The yin energy, it's in the north. The yang energy, the fire, is in the south. Fame and reputation. The sun rises in the east. I was confused for a second. And sets in the west. So that is the same. So even in the Southern Hemisphere, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. But we're having the colder in the south and the warmer in the north towards the equator. And this is why we're working with this Bagua. And here we are. That's the Bagua we're working with today. That's the Southern Hemisphere Bagua. If you want to have that, flick me an email and I can send it to you. Or you can stop the recording and just steal it from me, borrow it from me. That's totally fine. So what stays the same is the East and the West. So East is still the wood energy, West is still the metal energy. The fire energy is now in the North towards the equator where the sun is standing. Subjectively felt like that. Objectively, it's not, but let's just say how it feels. And the South is where the water energy is, the yin energy, in the Southern Hemisphere. But that means because we still stay in the cycle, we're still having the same cycle. We're going from water to wood, to fire, to metal, back to water. But as you see, this one goes the other way around. So we are working from today on with the Southern Hemisphere Bagua, because I finally had my breakthrough and we're just starting with that. One thing I have to say, if you are coming, have been born and have lived most of your life in the Northern Hemisphere, then from my experience in the last 10.5 years here in New Zealand / Australia, it really depends on how long you've been living here. So the first, let's say 2 to 3 years, you still feel the Northern Hemisphere. So you have to really ask yourself which one feels right. Do you still feel disoriented? Do you need to maybe in the internal Bagua, not in the compass school, we're talking about internal Bagua, do you still need to live, work, and breathe the Northern Hemisphere? Or have you finally acclimatized? So that happens sometimes around the second, third year, where you start more and more getting into the Southern Hemisphere energy, which is different, where you have your orientation finally and all that. So then you're using the Southern Hemisphere Bagua. Really ask yourself, or if you need help, flick me an email, I'm here. And we can work through that. But if you're born and raised in the Southern Hemisphere, have been living here for more than 5 years, you definitely feel the energy different, in a different way. So the disorientation should be gone after year 3 or 4. Otherwise, you need to probably look at some other energy blockages, which could be hereditary, but different topic. So this is the Bagua we're working with, just to let you know when I refer to that this is the one we are talking about. Okay, so I started talking about the house sitting, and because of the house sitting, we are getting more and more cases where you just feel like, oh, wow, that's not ideal. Or when I see the house or the apartment the first time, I kind of get an idea of what the topic in this house is. And we start preparing for that topic. And over the last 2.5 years, we got more and more experienced with all kinds of things that could be happening energy-wise. So we started documenting that now. So I have the cases and I can show you the cases, and we're doing the examples because, pictures say more than 1,000 words, don't they? Good. So if you've seen that, the pictures that I've posted, the case that I want to start this whole scenario with is this picture. Here we are. In this picture, what you see is this is the office of the house. And when we took over the house, we were together for an evening because we wanted to see how the dogs are doing, how they're treating the dogs. We always offer to come 1 or 2 days earlier so that we see the routine, we can get acquainted with everything that's happening. They get to know us, we get to know them. So the communication is much better then. So they then realized that I'm doing Feng Shui or Feng Shui, tomato. And he said, well, he's not quite happy with his office. And I'm like, well, okay, let's have a look. So what is quite obvious is that in this, I'm standing in the office. So this is the entrance door. So this is where the Bagua line lies. But seriously, in this case, the Bagua is not important. There's a few other things that need to be cleared first. Because you can see here, there is the door. And what's happening is, what you can see here is that they are some issues with his desk. So you see that his desk stands here and the door is there. So when he works there, when he sits there, he sits with the back towards the door, and that is a really, really weak position. You're not controlling, commanding the room, especially when you're in a work-related surrounding. You should always be able to command the room. So it's like the boss position, but I mean, if you're working, especially if you're self-employed, you're your own boss. But even if you're working for someone else, you are the boss of your work, and your work needs to get done, okay? Right? So, it is much better if you are commanding the room, if you're sitting with a back against a wall, and if you're seeing the entrance and what's going on. And in this case, because they have 2 dogs and a toddler, he will always also be able to look outside what's happening outside in the living area. So even more helpful than. Also, another thing what you can't see is that the outlet of the AC is right above the chair. So he was complaining that actually the AC is blowing into his neck. So that wasn't good either. And Feng Shui flow-wise, there is a cupboard, those doors here, so he can't access this properly from here. He can only access it from here. That's also not a good flow. And he's staring at a wall. There are some beautiful pictures on the wall, personal stuff, that's okay. But main thing is really, if you have an office, sitting with your back towards the door is really an extremely weak position, okay? So how do we solve this? So let me show you how the rest of the room looks like. So now I'm standing in the entrance. So I'm in the door, and you can see the desk there on the left, okay? So my suggestion, and he was totally up for it, so once they come back from their holiday, they're gonna change the office around. So this board here goes to the side here. And that has also another effect, because you come into the door and then the energy would theoretically go straight out of the window. So we have already, the chi can start dancing around that board here if it stands here. So the chi can automatically start dancing. We want a dancing chi. We want the chi to affect as much as possible in that room. So that one goes over there and he can see it. So you can see what's supporting him. The desk will go, this is the wall over here into the room, and he will sit there where this board is, which also has the effect. This is where the entrance door is and the driveway. So he not only commands this room and commands the entrance of the room, he also commands from this position the entrance of the whole property. He can see down towards the street who's entering, did the mailman already come, who's coming, what's going on out there. So it's more than just one effect. And he was totally happy with that, because the reason why he chose the desk to have the desk over here is this is where the only PowerPoint is in the whole room. You can see that. But when you have the desk here, going into the room, him sitting here, you can still access that PowerPoint and don't have a cable salad. So that is really by far the best solution, and the AC is not blowing into his neck. Plus, an idea that he brought up, do you remember the sliding doors, the white ones? He was like, whoa, then I already got my whiteboard. So yes, because he's sitting here, he can then use those white sliding doors as whiteboard for his business that he wants to set up, and for the planning and the processing and everything. Brilliant, isn't it? So just a few changes, and he didn't have to buy anything. We're just taking things that are already there. Just a few changes, changing things around, and the feeling is different. His commanding position. He has a wall in the back. The chi can dance around here, can dance around the table. He has a commanding position towards the entrance of the room and towards the entrance of the property. He will be in a much, much stronger position in that way. So this is how we solve this problem. So let me know what you think of this. It wasn't that hard. It's just a few things really that you have to change around, and voila, you have a kind of a new room, definitely a different energy in the room. So it's really interesting how you can change stuff with just a few things will make the difference. And just to add to it, for a successful home office, if you've got the Bagua, and again, bear in mind, how long are you living in the Southern Hemisphere? The Bagua that goes into the room is then also on your desk. Oh, one thing I wanted to say. Hang on. One thing I wanted to show you for this room. Yes, because of the Bagua. You remember the Bagua that you enter the room here, down here. So, which means this is the success area, right? And he's sitting there. He's sitting in the success area. You're entering in water, and here's the success area. And what I will also suggest to him, if he has any certificates or anything that important achievements or anything, they should go up on the wall behind him to back him. And because this is the success area. So he's now sitting, he's not sitting in the, you know, he's in the creativity zone, that's fine too. But he's sitting in the creativity kind of in the knowledge. Still, I still have to learn. He doesn't have to learn. He knows his businesses. He did his businesses in the UK. He's fine. But he's now moving into the success area. So do you feel the difference in the energy when you're sitting here as when you're sitting here? And also, if you remember the Bagua, what is here in the Bagua, in this area, that's, remember? That's the past. No, that's the future. That's the future. So you can use this area for anything that you want to plan or do or anything, and just have all these, have a vision board in here. That's totally fine. The sliding doors are in the water and the knowledge area. So that is where you birth something and where you get the knowledge and all these things. Perfect. So I think that works really well. I'm looking forward to him changing the room and then letting me know afterwards how his business is going. I'm really looking forward to that. So now we're coming to another factor. The Bagua of your desk, I already told you that you also can have a look at so everything that's to do with success should be on top of your desk, all these things. So you can group everything on your desk also like the Bagua. And we did that, and it's really helpful. It really is. Because sometimes you don't know where to put things. Sometimes you know where to want to put things, but sometimes you don't know. So that's a nice orientation, isn't it? Another important point in the Feng Shui, in the business Feng Shui, is actually depending what your business is about. Okay? So I cannot give you a general rule of which pictures, symbols, certificates, colors, shapes to use unless we're knowing what kind of business we are. We can use the symbols, pictures, certificates, colors, and shapes according to the energy of the Bagua that's coming with the entrance of the room. Okay, so you can use that as a general form to support you. But if we want to go deeper and really support and back your business as it is, you have to look into what type of business do you have? What type of business do you actually have? So if you're more in the design development business, ideas, creativity, books, writing, plays, all these things, that is definitely more wood energy. So then you want everything to be a bit more into the wood direction, like business cards would have wood direction. So what I give you, hang on, before I keep on talking, because maybe you're not familiar with these element thingies. Mm-hmm. So here we are. So now you can see what I'm talking about. So when we're going into the elements, these are the colors, the shapes, and the Bagua areas you want to use. So again, what I said before, if your business is more into design, development, ideas, books, creativity, painting, then you're definitely more at home in your wood energy. So if you see wood in wood energy, you have this kind of shape. The color is blue and green. It's spring energy. The sense is the sight, but there is so much more to discover in this one. But you need to know what your element in your industry is. So I cannot tell you for your business, you have to do this, this, and this. I can tell you, according to the Bagua, what it means that you have your chair in that corner and that you have your desk in that corner and so on and so forth. But you need to know what is your industry. If you're in the publishing industry, public relations, marketing, that is definitely fire energy. So you definitely want to go more into the reds, into like a summer quality, the Bagua is illumination and fame, and all these things that belong to this. You can Google what belongs to one of the energies. So you really, really look into what is your energy. If you're more into plant nursery, printing services, pottery, food production, that is definitely earth element. So you want to look more into the earth element. What comes with the earth element? The shapes are more like a square, and it's a transition phase. So it is always about moving, changing, all these things. And the Bagua is main area is the middle area. So all these things, you have to really look into that. Are you into heavy engineering, machinery, financial markets? Then your predominant element is metal. Then you look into more colors like white, gold, and silver, and what the energy is like. Okay. And then last but not least, storages, warehouses, libraries. Libraries also belong to wood energy a little bit, but it's also water because it's storage of knowledge. Secret negotiations on all production lines belong to the water energy. So you really need to know what is your industry about? What is your profession about? What is your business about? What's your main factor in your industry? Are you more into machinery, electricity? Are you more into creating things, coaching, teaching, developing ideas, creating? This is the first thing you need to know before you start looking into, which element do I want on my business card, for instance. So if you are creating and if you're a painter, then you probably are not so much, okay, it depends on what you're painting. Oh, it's so hard. No, that's fine, but you're definitely more into the wood energy. So it's more flowing, more into that fresh green and these things. If you're in engineering, if you're in financial market or in jewelry, metal is the way to go. So it's white, gold, and silver for you on your business card. If you're into food industry, the earth or plants, earth colors, but you want the orangey golden ones. And you can also have the red in that one because the fire, remember that circle, the fire supports you. So whatever your industry is, don't forget that the other elements are supporting you, and just don't forget which element not to use because it can destroy you, okay? Again, if there are questions afterwards in the Q&A, I'm more than happy, or flick me an email. So all the colors that we're using according to the elements that we have in our businesses. So far, so good. Symbols and pictures, you can use, some of you probably already know, it's one of my favorite topics, symbols and pictures. Really go into what is your aim. If you want world domination, then maybe put a globe somewhere or a map of the world. I've seen someone who had a cup with the world map on it, and that's really a nice one. So that's one thing you can do. The pictures that you use, they should really represent what you want. You should avoid aggressive symbols. Maybe if you're a debt collector, you want that. But other than that, you probably don't want sharp corners or poisoned arrows or a car driving towards people on your business card. You know, it's like woof, full in your face. So symbols have all sorts of representational value, and they do influence how our potential clients read our marketing on our business card, on our web design, on our posters, on our flyers. So really remember that. And those symbols that you use there, you should also have in your office, because it's what is important to you. If it's important to you, then probably it's also important for your client. But because your client avatar actually is somewhere in between you and your ideal client. So really go from here to there. So look what is important to you, and also look what is important to your client. But really don't use the energies. Don't use too much of the left brain. Don't use the energy to fake something, to project a picture how your business, how you would like your business to be. In a way, yes, but still you. So if you are a very creative person, but you are an accountant, but you are creative, then you want a creative element in your accountancy business card, which would be predominantly metal, but maybe you want a little bit of wood in there. So like that. So the most important thing about the business in general is that. But let's stay in the home office for the moment. In your home office, if you're sitting in there right now, have a look around what kind of pictures you have. A few years ago, it was quite fashionable to have a mountain peak in your office. Yes, in terms of goal setting, it might be. But if you look at that picture, how does it feel to you? Some of them feel really lonely. Some of them feel almost unachievable. So have a look. If there's a picture of a mountain, of a summit that you've climbed and that you've mastered, yes, please. Because it's a different energy as if you put up the picture of the Mount Everest and you know you will never make it. So that is a completely different energy in that one. So have a look around you. What symbols, what pictures are in your home office? And that you can make very successful. Again, not fake it till you make it. Don't look at Branson's office or any other people's office and then copy that. Really come to the conclusion what it means for you. It is similar to someone who wanted to find the love of her life and said, and I've put up all these beautiful pictures of Paris because Paris is the city of love and so on. And said, okay, so what do you think about Paris? Oh, I think it's loud and ugly and I didn't like it. So yeah, that's what it represents. Okay, so everything you have in your home office, have a look at it. Also, please maybe have at least one plant in there, and a plant that cleans the air. So a peace lily or a dragon tree. Dragon tree, by the way, is also a Dracaena, is also lifting up the energy. So it's nothing for a meditation room, but it's very good for an office. You can have ferns, you can have Dieffenbachia, which in some parts are called dumb cane, or the mother-in-law time, because they're purifying the air, and that will help you a lot in your home office. Well, that was a lot already. So really, really look into what the energy of your business is like, whether you feel more drawn to the Southern Hemisphere or the Northern Hemisphere. Watch the recording again and maybe stop it when I'm introducing the Southern Hemisphere Bagua. And let me know if that makes sense to you, okay? And let me know how your office is going. And I will let you know how his office is going after when they came back from their holiday and when they changed the room and when he started setting up his business again here. So that will be interesting. Wow. Okay, so I had a real case for you where I showed you how you can change some things around and really make use, and maybe you can use it in your office. That would be awesome. Also some ideas about how to find the energy within your business and a few guidelines of what to use. If you have more definite questions, email me. I'm always there. And well, yes, here we are again. Oh my God, half hour already finished. I can't believe it. So the next Feng Shui Masterclass is on the 25th of February, and I will be back in New Zealand then. I will be in Clive, which is next to Napier. Yay! And I'm looking forward to that one. And until then, the sun is back out. So when we started, we had the thunderstorm. Now the sun is back out. And I'm telling you, I'm probably not going out for another 5 to 10 minutes because it's really hot out. It's like a sauna. It is beautiful to see the blue skies and everything, but every time we go out, we're like, so who does house sits in Queensland in summer? We do, because we're probably a bit weird, but we like weird. And I hope you like weird too. Okay, I'll stop the recording, and everyone who's here, we're gonna do the Q&A. And I'll see you again next month from Clive in New Zealand.